Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe. Just click that button and like it, and I appreciate it very much. But today we have some big news, man, and I couldn't wait. I was gone away. My granddaughter was playing at Grand Valley State University in a shootout for her high school team. She made 8 threes in a row in one of her games, which is incredible. But we've hired Fred Vinson, and I only could have dreamt. I thought, is it possible? Before, when I first found out that we got Tidjane Salaun, I thought maybe we could steal him, and I thought I couldn't let myself even think of that because coaches make a difference. But some coaches make a big difference, and there's lots of great shooting coaches and player development coaches around. But this guy has the proof. He has shown that he can make a huge difference in people and their shooting. And what do the Pistons need? They need shooting, and he has done it. And so he's worked for the Clippers. He started out as an assistant in 2008. Then he went to the Pelicans and was there for 14 years. And he worked for Monty, I think, for like 5 or 6 years with the Pelicans when Monty was here. But he's like, again, like Dan Burke. Dan Burke was an assistant, the defensive coach for the Sixers, or for the Pacers, excuse me, for like 20 years. So different coaches were there. And it's the same thing with Fred. He's been there under different coaches. That just shows you his value and how important he was. But somehow, either because he loves Tidjane, in which I'm sure he does, and that says a lot about our president of basketball operations, that these people are leaving the Pelicans because they love him. Sure, I'm sure we paid him some good money to come here, but still he moved away from where he was comfortable in New Orleans and is coming to Detroit. And I am so excited because he has changed significantly the shooters. And it's hard to do. It's a challenge. I've been a shooting coach my whole life. I've been a regular high school coach, and I've been an AAU coach, but the one thing that I've been, I think, pretty successful at is teaching kids how to shoot. Not, I'm just shocked. I know college coaches that don't know how to shoot. I mean, I watch college coaches who I know their kids, and their kids do not shoot with the correct form, and it always surprises me. But anyway, we have him, and I know that he. Just what he's done with Alonzo Ball. So Alonzo played for the Lakers. Alonzo started out when he played for the Lakers. He shot, and he was this top prospect, number 2 player pick. But he shot. He was right-handed, but he pulled the ball over to his left eye before he shot. And I thought, there's no way you could be consistent, and he wasn't. So when he was with the Lakers, he shot 30% from 3 and 45% from the line. And then the second year with the Lakers, 32% from 3 and 42% from the line. When he went to the Pelicans, he shot, first year, got up to 37% from 3 and 56% on free throws. The next year with the Pelicans, 38% from 3 and 78% on free throws. And then, because of Fred Vinson, and then he went to the Bulls and shot 42% on threes before he got injured for half a season or more, and then he shot 75% on free throws. That's, prime example. But Najee Marshall, my guy that I want in free agency. I mean, a lot of you guys want the big names, but I am sold that I would love to get him. And again, Tidjane has all the inside information. I'm sure has a good relationship with him. And just like getting Fred Vinson to come here, I think that he probably can get Najee Marshall to come. But he started out with the Pelicans, shot 20% first year, and then he shot 30%. And then he got up to 39%, and he's a 78% career shooter. And that was even, when he first got there, he's always been a good free throw shooter. So that shows, free throw shooting shows that you're a good shooter. But he drastically improved his 3-point shooting under Coach Vinson. Herb Jones, drafted in the second round why? Because he couldn't shoot a lick. And he started out 34% from 3, 34% from 3, and then he got up to 42% this year. And he's not afraid to shoot. So if we can get Ausar to do that, can you imagine? Of course, Ausar wasn't up to 34% when he started, and I see things with Ausar. I talked about last year. His left hand is behind the ball, and your left hand should be on the side of the ball. You can't shoot consistently if you have that left hand back there on the ball. It puts on pressure and it changes it. And so, anyway, Fred will fix that. And and I talked to John Beilein on Friday, and here's a problem that the Pistons have had. And Coach Beilein alluded to this, that when he was a senior advisor for player development, the organization didn't back him up. They didn't tell the players, this is your guy, do what he says, and become a better shooter. John Beilein knows that he could have made these guys better shooters. He's shown it, when he was at Michigan, how much players improved and developed. But, he just didn't get the backing. If Troy would have said, you guys, listen to Coach Beilein, do just what he says, and you will get better. And instead, he was there, and he tried, but he didn't have the commitment and the backing of the coaching staff, even though Dwayne Casey was the one that hired him, but he didn't have the backing there. So that's interesting, but I'm positive that Fred Vinson is going to have the complete backing of Tidjane Salaun, and the players will know that he is the guy. So Brandon Ingram, 33% on threes from the Lakers and only 1.8 attempts per game. So that, that's not a shooter. So he goes to the Pelicans and he right away gets 39% on 6.1 attempts and 38% on 6.1 attempts. The mystery of Brandon Ingram that a lot of people are talking about and why it's questionable for the Pistons, besides the fact that he's a free agent at the end of this year and we're going to have to pay him $40 and $50 million a year. And so he stopped shooting threes and nobody knows exactly why. So this last year he shot, the year before this, he shot 39%, but he only shot 3.1 three-point attempts a game. And this year, he shot 36% only, and that's not terrible. That's better than most of the Pistons, and only 3.8 attempts. So why did he go from 6.1 attempts 2 different years and shooting 38 and 39% to shooting only the last couple years, shooting 39 and 36% and only a little over 3 attempts a game? So I just don't know exactly what's happening there. All I know is the Pistons got a gem, and what is it going to affect? Even is it going to affect how we draft? Is Tidjane Salaun going to ask Fred Vinson to watch film on all the different prospects that he's looking at and see which ones you think that you can impact? The guys, there's all these guys that have this high upside, but if they can shoot. And so I'm not saying that we're going to do it, but Buzelis, people think that he can shoot, but they're not sure. He didn't shoot good threes in the G League. Steph Castle, he didn't shoot well at Connecticut from three, but he's a tough defender. Holland, Holland is a big, he's averaged 20 points a game in the G League. He's tough and he plays hard and aggressive and has a high motor on defense. People are comparing him to Jaylen Brown, and that's a good comparison because Jaylen Brown was raw coming out, but Holland, I think Holland has already better handles than Jaylen Brown had. That doesn't mean he's going to be as good as Jaylen Brown for sure. Otherwise, he's going to go number one. And then there's Cody Williams. If he shot well from the three, but he only took one attempt, a little over one attempt a game on three. So that's not really a shooter, but it will be interesting to see how much that impacts, or if it doesn't impact. Well, of course, we'll never know, but I think that it should. I think they should consult with him on who they draft. My big thing is that I talked about the wild card in the whole draft is Tidjane Salaun, and he is, again, the 6'10" guy he shot the three well. He's played really well, especially at the end of the year. He's 18 years old. He high motor, plays really hard. Everybody thinks he's going to be a really good defender. Got that length, that 6'10" length. So we need a 4. And so that's why, like Buzelis, Holland is only 6'6", and Gigi Jackson, I think some places I see Holland 6'8". So if he's 6'8", that's a difference maker. But Steph Castle is 6'6", so he's more of a wing guard. But we already have, Asar, he's 6'6", and Fontecchio, he's 6'7", and so it's nice to have a guy 6'10", so that would be a difference maker. And again, Buzelis can block shots, but he has to be able to shoot. But if we can get that guy that can play the four, that has agility, especially that can block shots, that's somebody that I'd be really interested in. So, but here's my thing about Salaun. I talked maybe about this before. So last year during the draft, I talked about Gigi Jackson. So Gigi Jackson went in the second round. He was the number one kid in his class, ranked by everybody, and then he reclassified and skipped a year of high school and went to South Carolina, where he had played on a crappy team with not very good players, and his attitude was questioned about some things, the way he handled things, or something that he posted on social media. I mean, this kid's like 17 years old, and how many 17-year-olds would screw up on social media before? But anyway, Gigi Jackson went in the second round, and what happened? What did he do? He ended up averaging 14 points a game and only playing 25 minutes a game, and he was second team All NBA. He passed a whole bunch of guys, and that were drafted, a million guys that were drafted way ahead of him. He had 4.6 points, over 4 rebounds, over 1 assist, shot 48% and 36% on threes. And he played in the G League, and then they called him up. They had a lot of injuries, and then he just took off. And he's like 6'10", and he's a freak athlete. And so there's a lot of comparisons with Salaun. My thing is, I would bet if he was in this year's draft, based on the way he's played this season, if you ever knew that he was going to play that good, he would be taken like number one. And he got taken late in the middle of the second round. I think maybe 35. Maybe it was earlier in the second round. But I know I heard a report about, and it's hard to, I would be surprised if it's even true, but somebody said that Trajan Langdon said that he doesn't like the G League players. Well, one of the reasons is Dyson Daniels hasn't turned out very good for them, and he drafted him out of the G League last year, or his team did. So we'll see what happens there. But anyway, I hope that you are able to watch next on Monday. I'm going to be recording with Lance Caparosi on 3 Championship Drive. Probably will be out on Tuesday, and so I hope you're able to watch that. I just wanted to throw in there this thing. Chip England is the other great. There's 2 great shooting coaches, Fred Vinson and Chip England. Chip England was with the Spurs for lots of years. But did you know that Chip England, this great shooting coach, started out with our Detroit Pistons in the 1999-2000 season, and then he's from UCLA. He played at UCLA, and he was the ball boy for John Wooden on the '75 championship team. But then he went to the Spurs in 2005, 2006, and until 2022, and then OKC hired him away. And here we had Chip England right in our backyard. His wife is from Troy, and so that would have been cool if we would have kept him. And anyway, I just am so excited that our future could be changed. If Cade improved his 3-point shooting percentage about 10%, and Ivy about 10%, and Asar about 10%, who knows? That just completely changes the potential of our team. So we'll see how it works out. It might not. Every player doesn't respond to coaching the same. That I'm sure that there's players that Fred Vinson's worked with that haven't been able to improve their shot as much as those guys that I mentioned. But those are major changes and improvements, and I'm just so excited about this hire. So anyway, thank you very much for listening, and be the reason that somebody feels cared for, and go Pistons.